Really? Another one of these? Alright. Do you like saving? No, not that kind of saving. The good kind of saving. Yeah, that's right. Do you also like the environment? I thought so. So why wouldn't you check out Island Saver? This is probably the weirdest game review you're ever going to see. This is a strange game. This game was made by NatWest Bank. This is a video game made by a banking company, and that's one of the main reasons this game came into my radar, because I was wondering how this was all going to form together, as it's being made by a bank, and you can really tell it's made by a bank. It's a very educational game where you play as a nameless protagonist going around various different islands and collecting trash and killing litter bugs with water and talking to parrots. There's lots to do on this game. I was actually very surprised by how much there was in this game, because I was just expecting a small little like weird educational banking game, but this is a fully fledged game. And yes, I bought the DLC, and that will be, if you want to hear a review on the DLC, that'll be at the end of the video. But for now, we're just going to focus on the main game. Let's start by talking about the educational features. This game teaches a lot about saving the environment and helping animals and teaching you about what they like and how we can keep the environment clean, safe and healthy for these animals, which is a really good lesson to teach young kids. But it also teaches them about banking and the dangers of scams. Like, there's this one mule that offers you a money tree for 30 doubloons, and then when you buy the tree, it just blows up and it's a scam and he runs away with your money. And it teaches you about keeping your PIN code safe, because in different locations there are different NatWest banks where you have to use your own special PIN that you choose at the start of the game to open the banks in the different areas. So it's kind of like you have your own little bank account in this game, and you have your own like savings account where you can order stuff online later on. And I think that's a really good start for kids to learn about this stuff, because it does become a lot more important later on in life. So I think it's good for them to get that advice and that lesson early on whilst they don't really need it. But it's nice that they've done it in such an entertaining and enjoyable way. There is also a tax bot that comes around and collects 10% of your earnings. But with these 10%, every time he takes a coin from you, you get a tax coin, which you can use to build bridges, open new areas, pay back debts, and more things, which is really good because it does teach young kids that this money that you're giving to taxes isn't completely worthless, and it is going back to the community to help build better things, which I think is a great message, because I know a lot of kids are really confused about taxes when they grow up, but at least now it gives them some incentive and some advice to what's going to happen. And obviously, I and adults aren't really the target audience for this game, but I thoroughly enjoyed this game. This game has massive open areas with lots of exploration, with little eggs to find. There's 20 on each island, and there's 3 main islands in the main game, which are hugely different, with the first one being a jungle area, the second being a glacier and a desert, and the third being just a massive volcano and giving off lots of lava areas, which was really interesting to see how dynamic this game was. The game has lots of different wildlife and lots of different fruits and other things that you can feed these animals. There are things such as like steak trees and steak bushes, which actually give off meat from these things, which you can then feed back to carnivorous animals, which I thought was really funny. And like, I thought it was really cool that everything in this game could be grown. It was kind of like Growtopia in that sense, but nothing like Growtopia at the same time. This game is a weird mix between Slime Rancher and Viva Pinata. I know that's a really weird collection of games, But even the way the animals are introduced, exactly like Viva Pinata, and the way they go from grey to being various different colours after you've tamed them, and after they've you've gained their trust, is exactly like Viva Pinata, and the way you can build their, well, not really build their homes, but you can grow the food for them, and you can buy the seeds and stuff. It's all very similar, and the physics are a lot like in Slime Rancher, how you have a gun which can suck up water, and then you shoot it back to destroy these weird black blobs, which are now litter bugs in this game. And you can also pick up various seeds and stuff and shoot them back at the pets, just like in Slime Rancher. Now, back to the banking aspect of it, every single animal is actually called a bankamal, where if you feed them enough, they have a coin slot somewhere on the body, obviously relating to like a piggy bank, and they will then shoot money out after they've been fully fed. And I think that was a really cool thing. They didn't have to add something like that, but it's really cool that they did. There's also animals which you can mount and you can ride around. There's elephants, polar bears, even a T-Rex in the DLC, and it's so fun to run around on these animals, and just you can destroy the environment or get into hidden places which you couldn't previously get on foot. And I think this all falls together really, really well. The only place where it falls off is the lack of storytelling and the soundtrack. There isn't any story except for the introduction to the game, the third island, and the DLC island. In the introduction, you are introduced into what the problem is with the landscape, which is obviously the trash from the ocean has overflowed onto the island and you have to clear it all up, like you are saving the environment. And then you are left alone from there. You just have to figure things out for yourself, and there's no story. In the second island, you're not told anything, you just go in blind. There's introductions of new currencies, where there's an exchange rate, which is also in the third island, but not so much in the DLC island. The third island, however, is a big volcanic area, where the whole goal is to rebuild a portal to send the litter bugs back to where they came from, and get rid of them forever. Which is a great idea. This leads you on to quests such as rebuilding the portal, finding batteries, recharging the batteries, actually putting them into the portal, having huge fights with the king slimes, and it's all really entertaining. It's just disappointing that you couldn't get that same storytelling throughout the other two islands, and it did kind of make the gameplay kind of repetitive at times when you're running around collecting the rubbish and the trash, but you're always excited to see what new animals are going to appear later on, and what new areas you can unlock with these new animals. The soundtrack is bland. It's a very basic jungle-themed soundtrack for the first area. The music when you are on animals is very weird, with very repetitive sounds, usually having one or two notes when you obviously land on each foot, and it made the whole thing just really dull at times, because the soundtrack was also very, very quiet, so that you had to really listen for it. But I'm the kind of person who, if it's just a game where there's not much story to it, I'll just put my own music in the background. So it didn't really affect me as a player, but I know it will affect lots of other people as players, because a lot of people look out for a good soundtrack, like I did in Doom Eternal and various other games with good soundtracks. But this isn't one of those. The soundtrack does really pick up around the time when you are introduced to the slimes and the combat and the fights with the slimes, because it gives you this really intimidating sound and this really chaotic music, which really makes the whole fight seem more intense. No matter how easy it is, this music makes it seem like it's a life or death situation, and that's a very hard thing to achieve, especially when the soundtrack is so boring usually. Now, for the main game, I can easily give this a solid 7 out of 10. There's lots of exploration, there's minimal storytelling, the soundtrack is really good at parts but mostly boring, but the gameplay is really fun and extremely addictive. I found myself downloading this at around 1 o'clock in the morning just because I saw it pop up, so I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to download it. And then I decided to play it for a little bit. Before I knew, it was around 6 o'clock in the morning and I was still playing. So there is lots of content. Even though there's only 3 islands, these islands are massive, and I didn't want to do this review before I fully completed it and got 100%, so I collected all the eggs and all the coins, everything I could possibly do, and then I was just killing hours and hours. I think it's roughly around 3 to 5 hours, roughly, if you do it at a normal pace. If you try and speed it, you could probably get it in 1 to 2 hours, no problem. And if you do the full exploration, then it will take you around 3 to 5 hours. And per island, that's really good. That can give you between 9 and 15 hours gameplay. So if you are looking for a good few hours to kill, really check this game out. It's really good. I highly recommend it. And it is very educational. And if you are a young viewer watching this and you don't really know about saving the environment or banking, I reckon this is a really good place to start because it teaches a lot. And it's really fun in the process. Now let's talk about the DLC. The DLC, or Island 4, is a dinosaur-themed island, where, you guessed it, dinosaurs are dominant, and you help out a little professor pay off all his debts. It's kind of weird how you have to pay off someone else's debts, but you're a nice guy, so you accept to do it. And he has lots of things to do, so you find yourself saving up a lot of money, and most of the gameplay for this video is this new DLC island, just because I couldn't go back and replay these islands. So I didn't really like that there wasn't much replayability, but it didn't really bother me because I was so excited to see what they had next. But the music is constantly that intimidating noise like you're about to come across a fight. It really made me on edge at times when I wasn't really focusing, and then I just snap back into focus and think, oh Jesus, where are these enemies? But there were no enemies. The problem I had with this DLC is that they don't have eggs, they have fossils now. They have 20 fossils you can find, but they feel like they're being spoon-fed to you, being in really obvious and easy locations. So exploration was really dumbed down, and they kind of replaced the exploration for this better storytelling, which was a fair compromise because the story was very entertaining, like how there was new dinosaurs now, and the professor was making saddles, and you could now ride almost every dinosaur. It was really cool and really fun to see. There was also a Venus flytrap who had a lot of stuff where you had to pay off the debts so you could get that stuff back for him. And my favourite part of this whole island was the Petrodactyl that you meet towards the end, who actually lets you fly around the island. This was great. This was so much fun, just flying around the island looking for all the fossils I'd missed. It was so entertaining. The controls were slightly weird because you couldn't go backwards when flying, which didn't really bother me, but it was very, very entertaining. There's a lot of kind of parkour segments in this game, which were also very fun. It adds a lot of exploration and a lot more life to the environment, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And honestly, this DLC is what, like £4, maybe $5? I don't know how much it is in America, but it's definitely worth the money. If you want to kill a few more hours and you've really enjoyed the game, you definitely got to check out this DLC. I rate this DLC a 9 out of 10. Okay, the soundtrack was a lot better. You got some really heroic music when flying around. It just filled you with such a sense of achievement that you just wanted to fly around all the time. You could also ride around the T-Rex, which gave you that same basic riding music that you got on other animals in the previous island. But it didn't really bother me because, I mean, it's a freaking T-Rex. It was awesome. So, definitely check this game out. Definitely check the DLC out. It's fully worth it. And, yeah. I didn't go as in-depth with this review as I did with the Doom one because there wasn't as much to talk about and wasn't as much backstory. But I did thoroughly enjoy this game. I know it's kind of weird to see me come back and do another review, especially a game as obscure as this. But I did it more of like a passion project than anything, because I saw this game and it's gone kind of under the radar for a lot of people because obviously it's only just come out, but it's definitely worth playing. I just want to say thank you all for watching. I know I say it a lot in my videos, but it does mean a lot to me that people are watching, so I'm just starting out, and it does mean a lot that there are people constantly coming back to my videos and enjoying them. And I know it is, like I said, it is weird that I'm making another review on this game, but I just wanted to bring some light to it and hopefully get some more people to enjoy it as much as I did. So yeah, for the last time, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.